I'd like to teach the whole world you. To sing a simple melody. To sing about all the joy and the times. Yeah. See, that's the way God meant for it to be. And if you don't like it, you don't have to sing. If you don't like it, you don't have to play. If you don't like it, you don't have to sing. You don't like it, you don't have to play. I'd love to sing a song for all the children. They are our future. Have you seen? Take a little time out for the baby and teach them about love, hope, and prosperity. And if you don't like it, you don't have to sing. I don't. If you don't like it, you don't have to play. I don't. If you don't like it, you don't have to sing my song. If you don't like it, you don't have to play. I don't. If you don't like it, you don't. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. This is Point of View. I am Shirley. I am here today. I am here. I thank God for blessing us to be here, blessing me to be here today. The other ladies are working. And God has blessed me to be here today, and I am so thankful. We're praying for them and praying for everyone else, and God will bless them to be back with me one day, He will bless them to be back with me. We are going on in the name of the Lord. This is Point of View. Dear God, as I sit before you to speak, I pray to you that my soul you will keep. And if I should die before I finish, I pray to you, dear God, in the name of Jesus, that any outstanding sins will be forgiven. Amen. And that is a prayer that I pray daily, and I try not to ever go on live or do anything pre-recorded without that prayer that the Lord gave to me. We are talking about own up to who you are. So many people don't own up to who they are because of different reasons. Sometimes because they don't have enough courage. Sometimes it's peer pressure. Sometimes it's just so much that goes on in life. But we're going to talk about owning up to who you are. And I have some articles. I have uh, Psychology Today. I have, let's see, what is it? antimaximalist.com, which is a new one. I don't think I've ever been on there. And then I have the minimalism. Let me see, I've done that before. So let me give you this minimalism made simple.com. Minimalism made simple. So I'm just going to go right into it. I hope you're doing very well today. And that was the Polk Sisters and Company. I'd love to teach the whole world music. And that song was written and given to me by my dear, dear friend Robert Lee DeHorney, and God has called him in to wait on his eternal assignment. But he gave that song to me many, many years ago. We recorded that song many, many years ago, and the thing that pleased me so much is because he approved of the recording that we did, and I am so thankful for that. I'd love to teach the whole world music by the Polk Sisters and Company, and you can go online. You can get that song for your library. So, and that would help me out too if you get that song for your library. So, I'm going on now talking about minimalism made simple, 15 simple ways to figure out who you really are. 15 simple ways to figure out who you really are. These are for personal growth to help us along the way in this life. It doesn't matter what age you are, we all need this. Every single one of us. 15 simple ways to figure out who you really are. And with this year starting 2024, it is just such a pleasure, and I thank God, as I say over and over again. You hear me say, because He has blessed us to live to see another another year, another calendar year has come in, and it has begun, and I am so thankful to Him for you as well as for Him blessing me also. This is 15 simple ways to figure out who you really are. This is minimalismmadesimple.com. Minimalism, and this is by Rebecca, and we've done something by Rebecca before. Do you feel like you don't know who you are? Do you ever feel like you don't really know who you are? Are your friends and family telling you to figure it out? But how do you even start? You're thinking, well, how do I start? How am I to find out who I'm supposed to be, who I really am? Have you ever given it any thought? So you're not alone. Many people find themselves in the same boat as they grow up and enter adulthood. This blog post will help you give you 15 simple ways that you may help that may help you in figuring out who you really are. And I remember a young man told me once, he said, Shirley, he said, they keep telling me to act my age. He said, how do I know how I'm supposed to act at this age? And I have never forgotten that people grow up at your age, act your age. How am I supposed to be acting at this age? And we understand what they're saying, but can you really focus and tell us where were you when you were my age? How were you acting when you were my age? So that's a big deal. That's a big deal. People can say things and they mean well, but they can't really go into it and explain it and tell you exactly how you're supposed to do what they tell you to do. So you can subscribe to Minimalism. I use their material, so you can subscribe to them. Minimalismmadesimple.com. They can give you psychiatric help, counseling, what you might need at the time. And then also, I want to tell you, Peace of Mind Counseling is my service. Peace of Mind Counseling is my service, and you can contact me through any of the social media platforms that I am on. Okay, if you want that personal, confidential, listening ear, all right, all right. Number one, write a letter to yourself. Now, we're talking about 15 ways to figure out who you're really supposed to be or who you really are. Number one, write a letter to yourself. And why would you write a letter to yourself? This is a classic way to figuring out how you feel on the inside. Take some time and write down how you're feeling right now. This is a good exercise. What do you want from life? What do you think this happened to me, or why do you think this happened to me? Is there anything that's bugging you at work or in your personal life? Write it all down in that letter to yourself. Write a letter to yourself. You don't have to let anyone else read it. You can write it and you can do what needs to be done. You can look at it, observe it, analyze it, figure things out. And if you don't want anybody else to see it, burn it, shred it, and make sure you put it where nobody can get to it. Okay, put it in the trash. You can sometimes you can put them in different trash bags or different trash bins. Put some in recycling. Put some in the trash, and nobody will ever be able to pull it together. Okay, some things are so confidential to other people if they just don't need to know. Okay. They just don't need to know. And if people are concerned about you, they can pray for you. God knows what you need, and He will answer according to your needs. So you don't have to tell everything. Like Marina said, don't tell all you know, but know what to tell. All right? Now, it's different when it comes to counseling. If you need to vent to a counselor, because counselors are obligated by law to keep your concerns confidential unless something comes up, like in a court case or something like that. I'm not going to get all into that, okay, unless the law requires that they uh, present it to them. Okay. Number two, find out how you can help others. First, you're going to write a letter to yourself, find out how you can help others. So, doing good things for other people is a way to give back and make yourself happy at the same time. So, own up to who you are. Own up to who you are. And we're going to find out how. We're finding out how you can own up to who you are, how you can really figure out who you are. Okay? So you can make you happy at the same time. It's also a great way to find more about who you are while helping those in need. By focusing on how we're able to help, it allows us the opportunity to see how we might be able to help others too. Some people have done things and they have figured out while doing certain things that this is really my calling. This is really what I'm supposed to do. And you've heard of people changing careers just like that because they went to college, they studied, they're certified, degreed in a certain area, and then later in life they find out that that was really not my calling. This is my calling, and they switch and they are happy, happy, happy. And some people say, well, you sometimes takes a pay and cut. They'll take a pay and cut, but it's their life assignment, and they will do what they need to do in order to fulfill that and find out, know who they really are, owning up to who they really are. Some people criticize, well, you shouldn't do that. You know how you gonna make it and all that kind, but you are owning up to who you really are. We're gonna get it into some more. Okay, number three, take a personality test. If you're not sure how to get started, taking a simple online quiz can be helpful. There are many different ones, and they're out there, and it doesn't matter which one you take. They all have the same goal to give you an idea of how your brain works so that you can better help your, yourself understand who you really are. All right. Number four, write your autobiography. Write your autobiography. Look now and look how far you've come. Take a look. Look how far you've come. Writing about how you come to be who you are today is a great way to take time and think more deeply about what matters most in life. And on Facebook, my heading hasn't changed, but I will change that heading on Facebook. If it doesn't come up as change, I already changed it on my platform here. So look how far you've come. Writing about how far you've come to get to where you are today is a great way to take time and think more deeply about what matters most in life. You'll find yourself realizing how much of an impact we have on others by decisions that we make every day, even if it's something as simple as how we act. And speaking of autobiography, I have mine on YouTube. I think it's in 3 or 4 parts because the uh, program that I used, so somehow on my laptop, it went into a totally different format, and I had to divide it up. But I think I'm going to go in there and I'm going to put it on another uh, program, and then I'm going to put it all together. But you can go on there and you can see me, myself, and I. That's my video autobiography. And as I watched it, and worked on it. There's still so much that is left out of it, but I can't tell it all in that. But I did it. God blessed me to do it. So if you would like, you can go and watch me, myself, and I. I think it's 3 or 4 parts of it. How do you want to be remembered? What did I accomplish in my life? This will help us understand how it is that our lives matter and how they can make a change for the world around them. Number 5, take a day off. Take a day off. Sometimes people just push, 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 push themselves. Take a day off. Treat yourself. Take a day off. You can do that. This is your life. So many people's lives, and mine used to be like that, driven by someone else's uh, whims and by their schedule and all that. But now, thank God, I can set my own schedule. I am so thankful to God. Thank you, God. Take a day off. Take yourself a day off. Pamper yourself. Do whatever you want. If you just relax, lie around the house, do whatever you want to do. Take a trip, go whatever you want to do. But take a day off. Owning up to who you are, okay? It's important to take time out of our busy schedules and lives for self care. Take some time out by yourself or plan a date with your spouse, friend, or family member. Just make it something that makes you feel loved and happy. Do something for yourself. Do something for yourself. So if you haven't done something new in a while, how about going on an adventure and trying something that scares or excites you? Okay, so our personal growth is important. Our personal growth is important in how we understand ourselves better, how we understand ourselves better. So I like adventures, but I'm not going to put myself out there too far, okay? But I like adventures. I like learning new things, seeing new things, going new places, and even to places I've already been. I like it. I like it. I like it. So next, take a long walk. Now, right here, we're in minimalismmadesimple.com, and we're figuring out how to be yourself and know who you really are, okay? In this one, take a long walk. Take some time out of your day to go and take a nice long stroll. Pay attention to how the world looks around you and how things are changing. I tell you, it is something how things are changing. That when I was sitting here, when you're driving, you can't observe all the things around you, even on the highway in the country, because you're focusing on your driving and making sure you're driving safely. But when you're with someone else, you can look around and you can see so many different things that you had not noticed before. And that's the way I was the other day when I was driving, excuse me, riding with my daughter. And we were going and coming down, what is it? Central Expressway 75. And I noticed so many different things that I hadn't had a chance to notice because I had driven there the other times. So what about how people get when they're walking their dog or going on for a jog? You may find yourself noticing more than just what's in front of you. And that's what we're observing so many things. Number seven, write a letter to someone you admire. Let me take a drink here. I didn't even pour my water, but I feel something in my throat here. I need to take a little bit of drink of water. Hey, hi, Bella. Hi, hi, Leora. Thank you so much for being with me. I'm just seeing this popping up here. Excuse me, please. Excuse me. Now, take some time out of your day and write how you feel about the things that they do. Talking about write a letter to someone you admire. And I really, really like doing this. I've done this before, but you know what? Some people just don't understand. When the Lord tells you to do something, do it anyway. But some people just don't understand. So, hey, what we're talking about is owning up to who you really are. And we're going to get into other things here in just a few minutes, okay? Take some time out of your day and write how you feel about the things that they do, some person that you admire. You can look up how their life story started or what they've accomplished so far in their lives. You can do that, yes, you can. And inspire yourself by reading more about how they are living richly, not just surviving, but thriving. This is how we can find out how to be the best version of ourselves. How to be the best version of ourselves. And let me get on down. And number eight, learn how to have a difficult conversation. And some of us, we know we've had conversations that have been very, very difficult. So as we go on in life, we will learn how to be able to successfully have a difficult conversations because some conversations are very difficult. All right. So we all know how hard it can be sometimes, but the more we practice having tough and uncomfortable discussions, the better our relationships will become. We may find ourselves feeling more relaxed when we're talking with others about things that matter most in life, even if just for a moment. It's important to take time out of your day and really think about how we can find more ways to have a deep conversation. Sometimes this might mean talking to someone who is different from us, someone that may challenge how we view the world or how we see ourselves as a person. Number nine, spend a little time on your own. This is really telling us that's the third one of these that has told us to do something on our own, do something for ourselves, do something alone that helps us. All right, so spend a little time on your own. It's so important to take some time out of your day and sit with how we're feeling. We have to just, sometimes we just have to sit and how am I really feeling today? How am I really feeling today? Both good and bad. And we've had some of those days where we figure out, this is not quite right today. Why am I feeling like this? And how am I feeling today? Why am I feeling this way? It might be helpful for you to write down what happens when you go an hour without talking or looking at any kind of screen, whether it be TV, the computer, or your phone. You may be surprised how thoughts and ideas start coming to the surface when you're not distracted. So, this will help us understand how we're able to spend time learning about ourselves again, just taking in how it feels to think without it being influenced by others or any kind of media that is showing on our screen. Sometimes we just have to put those things aside for just a little bit, okay? Number 10, take a moment to think about how you want your life story to read, okay? Now, what we're doing with this article is we're learning to figure out how we can be our best, how can we can own up to who we really are. Take a moment to think about how you want your life story to read. You are the power, you have the power, you have the ability to control how your tale unfolds. What will it say? How do you want others to remember how you lived or how they met their end? My goodness. This goes back to what we were saying earlier. How can our lives matter for something bigger than ourselves? How can our lives matter? Matter, for something bigger than ourselves. Number 11, write a letter of how you want your life story to end. How do you want your life to matter? How do you want uh, it to look like when one is reading this letter? By what legacy will you be remembered by? What legacy? Because we know now that there are some people that didn't have such an attractive legacy, and we remember those things. We don't want our legacy to be tainted, tarnished, and we have control over that now. And I guarantee that your good will always outweigh the bad. It will always outweigh the bad. All of us have done things that we're not happy about, but those things are in the past. They are gone. There's nothing we can do about that. All we can do is start from right now and go on. Some of us have been working on our lives for years and years and years. We want a legacy that will encourage someone else. So write a letter of how you want your story to end. You tell your own story because I, my daughter has said that the way the story ends or is told is based on who is holding the pen, okay, or who's doing the writing. So write your own story. I'm writing my own story. How do you want your life to matter? Like the one reading this letter, by what legacy will you be remembered by? Inspire others with how it is that they can live their best life too, not just for yourself, but also for those who are still in the midst of their journey. And see, the young people don't understand. They need us. They need to hear us. They need the wisdom that we have, but so many of them are so headstrong, like we used to be. Thank God He blessed us to learn to listen, comprehend, and act on the positive. They need to listen. And that's one thing about our story as a people. All of our people, anybody that has a bloodline of ours, they need to know our story. They need to know her story. They need to know his story. They need to know our story. Because this world out here is not playing with us. The people are not playing. The people are pushing and pressing and pushing and pressing. If you don't know who you really are, you cannot own up to who you really are. Okay? People need to listen and understand who they really are. So reflect on how you want your life story to be. What will it say? How do you want others to remember how you lived or how they met their end? And what legacy will we leave behind for those who are still in the midst of their journey? Spending time with tough conversations and difficult talks can help us learn more about how our lives matter. Help us, oh my God. Number 13, figure out how to be the best version of yourself. Figure out how to be the best version of yourself. Reflect on how you can be the best version of yourself. What are your positive attributes? What are your negative ones? Yeah, we have to put the negatives in there too in order to really figure out who we are and how to be the best version of ourselves. We have to own up to all of it. Okay? All of it. What are your negative ones and how can you better yourself day after day? And that song, One Day at a Time, Sweet Jesus, one day at a time. How can we better ourselves? One day at a time. Number 14, have meaningful conversations. Have meaningful conversations. We all know how hard it can be sometimes, but by now we live day to day, and how we are able to have difficult conversations with others who may challenge us in life or those that disagree on certain topics. Okay? Because some people are going to disagree. Some people love to disagree. When you say, okay, I agree, then they find something and say, well, I disagree with you agreeing with that. Have you ever been around anybody like that? So how can our lives matter to something for something bigger than ourselves? It might also help you think about how to be the best version of yourself. Number 15, take some time to self-reflect. We have to look at ourselves. We have to search ourselves. We have to look deep inside if we want to know who we really are, own up to who we really are. We need to know ourselves. So take some time to self reflect. How will you know how to improve and change if we don't take time with how we're feeling and how it is that matters in our life? If we don't reflect, how do we know what we need to do? This might include taking a little time out of your day and sitting with what's going on inside. Sit with what's going on inside. Whatever it is, we have to learn to deal with whatever is going on at the time in our lives. We must deal with it. So the problem is that so many people will not deal with what's going on with them. And then that causes more problems. It can cause health problems. It can cause mental problems, emotional problems, problems all the way around. So this might include taking a little time out of your day and sitting with what's going on inside. You may find thoughts or ideas start coming up when you're not distracted by the outside world. And so we have to really be careful because we know that there is a negative spirit, negative vibe, as Satan. He wants to confuse us also, and he wants to feed evil and negativity into our minds, into our thoughts. He wants to feed that. So that's why, feed us with that. That's why it's very important to take some time out, reflect, and see what's really happening inside and flush out all that negativity. You have to deal with it, flush it out, flush it out in the name of Jesus. Okay? Final thoughts on this one. Whether you've been struggling with identity for years or have just begun to wonder, there are many ways to get a better sense of who you really are. Try some of these tips and see which works best for your unique
personality because we all have a unique personality. And this is by Rebecca. And Rebecca is a really, really good writer. Okay, thank you, Rebecca. And that is minimalismmadesimple.com. Now we are going to another one. Psychology. Is it psychology? No, this anti-minimalist.com. Anti-minimalist.com. And this is own who you are, no matter what people think. Okay, own who you are, no matter what people think. And I think I better go to psychology today. What is it? 150? Wait a minute now. Oh no, 135. Okay. Okay, I was gonna say, man, I have really been talking. Okay, psychology today, and it's going to talk to us about. Let me scroll back up here. I have to read over this before I come on, so I can know what I'm talking about. This is by Robert Tyaby, and this is psychology today. Okay, Taibbi. I think that's his name. So I'm going to spell it. And Robert, forgive me if I've mispronounced your name. Taibbi. Okay, so it looks like it's Taibbi. All right, who are you? 6 questions to help you find out. This is psychology today. By stepping back from your life, you can discover who you really want to be. Now, here are key points here. We're going to go through these. Out of all of who you are, there is a core of you that defines you. Doesn't that make sense? Out of all of who you are, there is a core of you that defines you. Next, next bullet point. Life is about choices, and an active life is one of making choices consciously, deliberately. The next one is your life has a purpose. Every single person's life has a purpose. If we didn't live but 2 minutes, 1 minute when we were born, there was a purpose for us coming into this world. Your life has a purpose. You have already learned important lessons. What are they? If we learned it, we ought to know what we've learned. The next one, step back and reflect. Hear that? On who you are and want to be. And this is psychology today. Okay, so when you step back and you look at yourself and your life, what do you see? That's a good question. When we step back, we look at ourselves, we look at our lives, what do we see? Very important. Key question. Not in terms of appearance, but in terms of your identity, of my identity. What do I see when I take a step back and look at myself? What am I seeing of me? What are you seeing of you? What makes you you? What makes me me? How are some questions to help you find yourself? Okay, how are some questions? Okay, here they are. Here are some questions that will help us define ourselves. Number one, 10 or 20 years from now, what would you like people to say about you? Remember, it's talking about reflecting, or how do you want your life story to be told? We just talked about that, didn't we? In minimalism made simple. Here's the question: 10 or 20 years from now, what would you like people to say about you? This may be about your profession, that you are an expert in what you do, the go to person who has the answers, that maverick who has a unique and creative approach. That could be you. Or it may be about your personal life, that you are known for making a difference in your community, that matriarch or patriarch who helped family members steer that big ship of life, or a role model for others in navigating the journey from struggling to succeeding. This is about reputation, but also goals, creating the person you may ultimately want to be, owning up to who you are. That is the subject. Number two, what represents the best of you? We have to dig deep sometimes to find out what represents the best of us. Thank you so much for being with me today. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Well, we all have multiple aspects to ourselves, but usually there are one or two that on a good day take center stage that represents the best of you. What are you most proud of of your sense of humor? Are you most proud of your ability to stand up for what you believe in, for bringing out the best in others, or you're holding fast and doing the best you can despite all the obstacles in your life? My. What about you? Do you appreciate and admire the most? It's no sin. It's not a shame. It's not being arrogant. It's not being puffed up and all of that. If you look inside yourself, you look at your life and say, uh, how you appreciate yourself. What do you admire about yourself? What about you do you appreciate and admire the most? Look at yourself. There are things that you admire. You admire yourself. If you don't admire yourself, how do you expect anybody else, talking to me too, to admire us? So how can you bring these to the forefront of your everyday life? Number three, what struggles have you had to have overcome that have shaped your personality in some important way? Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. We all have ongoing trials, every last one of us, whether it be the richest person in the world or the poorest person in the world, the most fortunate, the less fortunate, most less fortunate. It matters not where we stand, where we sit, where we are, what we think, what we do, where we go. We all have ongoing trials and challenges in our lives. One of us, okay? They may be big, such as an addiction that derailed your life and took you years to face and eventually tame, or a relationship with a child or parent who struggled themselves, and you, in turn, struggled to figure out how you could help. It could be childhood trauma, a medical challenge, or maybe it was something seemingly more ordinary, overcoming your fear of public speaking, learning to navigate and get your sea legs as a new parent, or conquering a job that you felt sure at the start you could never do. Your challenges are yours to define. You define your challenges, okay? You define your challenges. You own up to who you are, okay? This is your life. Your life, it belongs to you. The purpose of this question is to step back, realize, and give yourself credit for how far you've come, for acknowledging your ability to overcome life's challenges despite your fears or lack of skills or support. Sometimes you have a project, you have an aspiration, you have a plan, and there are people that will just try to discourage you and blow your plans completely out of the water, off the map, and whatever. But let me tell you something, You have to look at yourself, acknowledge that you have the ability to overcome life's challenges despite your fears or lack of skills or support. You have to do that. By sharing these experiences and lessons with others, you not only have an opportunity to be a role model for others, but also create intimacy in your relationships. Yes, you do. All right. Number four, what is your purpose in life? What is your purpose in life? What is the one thing you can do that no one else can do because of who you are? Asked Buckminster Fuller. When you step back and look at your personality, passions, talents, and challenges, what is your life telling you about what you were destined to be or to do? Okay? Looking at yourself, taking inventory. The answer may be clear and immediate, or for too many of us, excuse me, it may be the smallest wisp of passion that you have felt but too quickly overlooked. A strong feeling of want that is so different from all those shoulds, SHOULDS, in your head. Sometimes it can come, it might not just grab you like that, but you can tell. Oh my goodness. So if you know, are you living that purposeful life? Are you really living that purposeful life? If not, then why not? If you don't know, what do you need to pay attention to in order to find out? Number five, what are your core values? Talking about core values. Values are the adult, upgraded version of childhood shoulds, SHOULDS. Rather than doing what you should do to be what others think you need to be, you, as a grown up, decide what you believe makes a good person, a good life that you are willing to strive for, a code you're willing to live by. You get to create this. You get to choose. Now it's getting on down there, isn't it? This is psychology today. So it is the creating and choosing that is important. Okay, the creating and the choosing that is important. It separates us as humans from the rest of all the forms of life in the world. You are making your life rather than just living your life. That's really good. You are making your life rather than just living your life. You are actively deciding who you want to be and become rather than passively taking what you get. This is a gift. What are the five core values that govern your life? What are the five core values that govern your life? If you don't have them, step back and choose. How do you want to be? How do you want to treat others? Oh, this is nice. This is really nice. It's helping me too. Number six, what would you want to be your epitaph? And when I looked at this, you see the epitaph on people's graves, the epitaph. Out of all of the above, your purpose, passions, struggles, contributions, and beliefs, what would you want to be the summary of your life? What of all this is most important that you want others to remember you for, appreciate, that you most appreciate and are proud of, that you most want to accomplish in that short span of time? that is your life. My goodness. So what of all this is most important that you want others to remember you for, appreciate, that you most appreciate and are proud of, that you most want to accomplish in that short span of time that is your life? My goodness, what do we want to accomplish? This is about the ultimate point of it all. Reflect, drop down into your passions and dreams and see what you discover. Be you, the one you want to be. Be you, the one you want to be. My goodness. And Bob he's a LCSW, 49 years of clinical experience, the author of 13 books and over 300 articles, and provides training nationally and internationally. Wow, that's a good article. We were to psychology today. Now we're going to close it out with, let me make sure I'm getting it. Yes, this is it. Anti-maximalist. This is the site.com. Own who you are, no matter what people think. See, I just had to get down to this. No matter what people think, you've got to live your life and be the best that you can be in order to be pleased, happy, satisfied with your life. What do you want your epitaph to be? Okay? Own who you are no matter what people think. This is by Eric Owens. And this was updated in January 24th, almost a year ago in 2023. 2023. Own who you are no matter what people think. Like I said, and you know, people try and try to live your life for you. They want you to live like they want you to live, think like they want you to think, and their lives are shaggy and shabby and all of that. But they're trying to tell you how you should live your life. And so many people are victims of this right today. They cannot be happy for thinking about what other people think, what other people are saying, how they're acting toward them, all the negative vibes and all that. Own who you are no matter what people think. That's what all the confident people do. They're comfortable with every part of their personality, especially the one that others find weird. The ones that others find weird. It's a common thing. The writer says I've seen in every confident person I've ever communicated with. Here's what you need to know to own who you are. Own up to who you really are, okay? And the table of contents here is, what is the meaning of own who you are? How do you own who you are? What does own it mean? How do I stop living small? Own who you are no matter what people think. And there's a TED talk in here. So if you would go to this anti-minimalist.com, you would be able to see that TED talk over here. And then articles that can help you own up to who you are. So what is the meaning of own who you are? And I know my time is moving on. While the direct origin of the phrase own who you are is unknown, here's how I understand it, says the author. I see owning who you are as being similar to the phrase comfortable in one's own skin. I think that wraps it up. I think that wraps it up. So when people use that phrase on someone, they mean they're confident in how they present themselves. They feel self assured in expressing who they are and what they're about. Who they are and what they're about. Own your life, own your own life, please. Owning who you are first it first involves knowing who you are. Remember we talked about that, don't we? Owning who you are means knowing who you are. That's what it depends on. So while sometimes it can seem complicated to know who you are, There's a simple way to understand yourself. Okay, so we just got through talking about learning to find out who you are. So the author, when I say I, like when I'm reading, it's the author. When I think of who I am, I think of how I act. I also think of how I feel most comfortable acting as well. So, how do you act most of the time? Think about it. How do you feel most comfortable acting? Think about your answer to those questions, and that'll give you a pretty good idea of who you are. So, in my case, the author said, I generally act calm, relaxed, light-hearted, and thoughtful. That's also how I feel most comfortable acting. And you might have heard me say, I would sometimes think, why am I like this? Why uh, am I like this? Because some things that I just think differently sometimes about things, and I'm thinking, am I off? Why is this? Why is this? Or why do I feel this way sometimes? And not talking negative, but sometimes just my personality. Why is I found that when I first started doing point of view, which was God Almighty, whew, 2010, 20, 2000, no, yeah, 2009, somewhere, way back yonder. I finally found out what personality I am. And I said, that's why I am like I am. And now I haven't had any questions about it because now I understand who I am. I understand. So what you know, once you know who you are, then you can actually own OWN who you are. It's not only just being confident in how you act, but also accepting how you don't act. Didn't I just? Maybe you're like me and you're not the loudest, most talkative one in the room. Maybe you're not that artistic or athletic. Whatever it is that you are not, for good or bad, accept it. Be happy with the person that you are as a whole. Now, what does that mean? The phrase own it, as I understand it, means to take responsibility for your thoughts and actions. You might be hard or heard. You may be heard may have heard someone say once, if you make a mistake, own up to it. It's an important quality to be able to admit to our own flaws and shortcomings. It helps us to be humble and continue to work to be better as people. And that's for real. If we own up to it, we realize and know who we are. If we own up to 158, 2 minutes. I might have to continue this tomorrow. Thank you so much for being with me. I really appreciate you. Sister Velma, Sister Leora, and everybody that's with me. Thank you so much. I Those are names I see. Own it can also be said to remind someone to be confident in the person they uniquely are. Be confident in how you look, how you sound, and the things you think and feel. Own it because you are you. How do I stop living small? You can stop living small by choosing not to let anyone make you feel small, including yourself. Don't let yourself make you feel small. We often seem to be the ones that tend to make ourselves feel small, and that's for real. Assuming what people are judging about us or sometimes being our own worst critics. Hold it in your mind that no matter what others think, you can feel as good about yourself as you want to. Never ever forget that. So remember to have a balanced outlook about yourself. No one's completely perfect, but no one's completely flawed either. Ooh, that's good, isn't it? No one's completely perfect and no one's completely flawed either. Regularly recognizing your strengths and positive traits will help you feel less small and own who you are. My goodness. Own who you are no matter what people think. In life, we know many people will have opinions about us. A lot of negative ones about who we are, how we act, and what we believe. Despite that, There have been people who've gone down in history for doubling down on who they believe themselves to be, doubling down on what they stand for, and not letting anyone make them feel bad about themselves. This trait isn't unique to a few people in this world. We all have the ability to own who we are no matter what people think about us. All it takes is saying and acting on what you really think or feel. If someone responds to that in a way that puts you down, you can learn to laugh about it and not take it personally. Continue to consistently think in your mind all of the positive things that you know reflects who you are on a regular basis. If you know you're smart, keep that in your mind and stop letting people make you feel like you're dumb. If you know you're strong, think that over and over and forget about the people who see you as weak. Repeating positive affirmations about being smart, strong, or confident can help you withstand people's negativity and be more resilient. It may not be as easy when you're young, but I think it gets easier to own who you are as you get older. All the experiences in life that add up teach you more about how you really view yourself. Oh my goodness. And that is it. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being with me today. I really appreciate it. And God willing, I don't know whether Reedy will be, uh, let me see, Saturday, let me see, what is it? Is my sound? Yeah, my sound is still up. Thursday or not, but God willing, I'll be here, and if God blesses her, if she's on off on that day, she'll be here too. I love you so much. Enjoy your day. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Remember, no matter what people think, you are who you are. You own up to who you are. You be the best that you can be, and the person that you know how to be. Forget all that old negative stuff these people be bringing in, because you are you. You own up to who you are. Okay, I love you. Oh God, I'm calling on you. Oh God, I'm enlisting the saints to pray. Can you hear me? Can you feel it? Can you hear it? Can you feel it?